1 in 8 couples struggle to get pregnant or sustain a pregnancy. My husband and I are one of those 1 in 8. However, our story ended with a happy ending, and we now have a 2-year-old son, James. I'm sure many of you have seen him in my posts here on Facebook or Instagram or other places. I want to share with you some facts about fertility, what we can do to promote that in our body, and our personal journey and testimony of how we used and changed some things in our lives to bring us to the point we're at today. Let's jump right in. Some of the causes that you'll hear a lot about from doctors and other professionals for the females include problems with her cycle, structural problems with the reproductive system, infections, failure to mature an egg, endometriosis, which does run in our family, polycystic ovarian syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS, primary ovarian insufficiency, uterine fibroids, or autoimmune disorders. I have not officially been diagnosed with endometriosis, but we do know that it runs in our family, so that may have played a part in our journey. We really don't know. These are popular, if you can use that word, reasons why females may struggle. This list comes from the National Institute of Health's website. Then for the males, these causes could come from problems with sperm formation or problems with sperm transportation. As far as we know, that was not an issue for us. Once I started working on things in my own health, that's when we saw a positive pregnancy test. So as far as we know, it was never an issue with Jared. It was things in my health that I needed to get back on track. Some not so popular causes, or however you would like to label those, things that I feel aren't talked about as often, are chemicals and how they affect our endocrine system and the body, and also hormone imbalances. And you may hear some things from professionals about your hormones, but I feel like in my case, the doctor did not approach that at all with me, and I was kind of left on my own to figure it out. And I'm really thankful for the people that the Lord did put in our lives to lead me to some of the solutions and lifestyle changes that we were able to make. So I don't want to dwell on what the issue or cause may be. Let's look at what we can do for it and changes we can make in our lives, because when we know better, we can do better. And that's what I want to empower you to do. So there are foods that can help promote your fertility. It's not a guarantee that these are going to be a magic pill or anything like that. And I don't want to make any kind of claim in relation to anything I'm speaking about tonight, because everybody's body is different. Two women can do exactly the same thing and have entirely different results. But I want to give you some basic ideas of things you could change, whether that be in your food, things in your home, supplements you may use, whatever the case may be, whatever route you choose to take. I want to give you some ideas of things you can look into and try. So this comes from healthline.com, some of these ideas of foods that may promote your fertility. So these would include antioxidants. They mention specifically folate and zinc, which can help counteract free radicals that will damage sperm in the males or eggs in the females. Free radicals interact with cells in other parts of our body like rust does on a car. So just imagine basically you're letting your reproductive system rust when you're not getting proper levels of antioxidants from food or supplemental sources. So folate especially, my doctor, when I went in after it took us over a year to get pregnant, she told me you need folic acid. And I went on a search for a supplement with folic acid that I would trust. And none of those supplements I was looking at contained it, which then led me to ask some more questions about if this is supposedly what I need to help support my body to achieve this goal of getting pregnant. Why then is it not in the line of supplements that I trust so much? I found out that folic acid is a man-made synthetic of the B vitamin folate, which I believe is B9. So folate is so much better for you because it is the natural God-given source, and your body is designed basically to speak that natural language. Our bodies aren't designed to react with synthetic things. Our body does not speak synthetic. So when we pour those man-made substitutes into our body gets confused and it really doesn't know how to utilize them. There may be some benefit, you may see something change, but I personally believe that when we can get the closest to nature, the closest to what God created for us, our body is going to thrive more because that is exactly what God designed to work with our body. Also, fiber. This may bind to excess estrogen and remove it from the body. When we have too much estrogen, it can cause a myriad of issues. I don't want to get into necessarily diseases and all that because I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to diagnose anything or cure any kind of disease. This is all purely educational and based off of things that I have learned and found in my own personal life. So some sources of fiber are whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and beans. Food can heal. Food is natural. It's what God gave us. Again, it's what the body is looking for. So as much as I can, I'm going to point you back to something natural, whether that's a food or a vitamin or a mineral or something along those lines. So yeah, next is vitamins, just in general. Folate again came up under this specific heading. We want that folate, not the folic acid. And some people found that taking a multivitamin that included folate and other vitamins that are good for the body at least 3 times a week may have increased their fertility. So I think if you've got a great supplement, you should take it every day, but that was just the statistic that they found. And also iron, it didn't specifically say how this may benefit you, but when your body is depleted of iron, it struggles to do a lot of things, especially like help with our blood and our energy and all of that sort of ties together. And when you're looking to create another life, your body needs to be able to sustain that other body inside you and provide it with the things that it needs, including iron through your blood supply. So it says that vitamin C may also help us increase our absorption of iron. So again, when you're dealing with a synthetic something, the body struggles to absorb and use it, which is why, again, I say natural as much as possible, as real as you can get something, and then learning to find a company that you trust and that pairs our vitamins and minerals together so that the body can absorb and use them to its best benefit. Then also some foods that may harm your fertility that you would want to avoid would include trans fats. These can mess with the ovaries in the female. These would include vegetable oil, margarine, fried foods, or baked goods. And I know for some people that's a lot of what you love to eat, but look for healthier substitutions. Instead of vegetable oil, you could use coconut oil or grapeseed oil. Instead of margarine, use real butter. Instead of a fried food, maybe grill something or air fry it. And instead of our typical baked goods, try using something maybe with einkorn or an ancient grain that's not genetically modified. Also, refined carbs, these would include sugary foods and drinks, and again, those processed grains. Caffeine, this is not necessarily a big, bad, horrible thing. I enjoy my cup of coffee every morning. I would never just jump on you and be like, you've got to give it up. You don't, but keep it balanced. They found that more than 500 milligrams of caffeine a day may add time to you trying to conceive. So just, I guess, consider what you're willing to give up in order to achieve your goal of getting pregnant. It's really, that's a personal decision fertility is a completely personal thing, as far as what you pursue or give up to try to achieve it. Then also alcohol, they found that 14 plus drinks a week can also add time to that span where you are trying to conceive. Personally, I think you're better off all the way around in health in general to just not drink. That's my personal conviction. I don't drink. But if you're someone who has found this and you do drink, just consider how that is going to affect you and your chances of getting pregnant, and also how it may affect your child as you grow that little baby inside you, and then even as you parent down the road. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about my personal story, because I feel like giving you a peek into what we went through is a lot more personal than just reading you a bunch of facts. And it's the story that God has given me, and it's one that I love to share, to hopefully give you some hope and encouragement and idea of things to try as you pursue becoming a parent. So Jared and I got married in 2016 in May, and a few months before our wedding, I had started taking birth control because we wanted to at least take a year just to get used to being married, get to know each other before we threw another little tiny person into the mix. About 3 months after we got married, I started experiencing extreme migraines. I'd had them as a kid and a teenager. They had pretty much gone away. Then they came back with a vengeance. That's a whole nother really, really long story, but it does tie into this. So about a year later, after dealing with all sorts of health issues that I thought were stemming from the fact that that migraine had been so severe, and I was having multiple of them after the fact, I walked into an urgent care because I had a cold and I just could not get rid of it. And I was beginning to become concerned that my immune system wasn't kicking this thing on its own. And so I was just talking to the lady doctor that happened to be who walked into my room that day. And I was telling her, I've dealt with this and this and this and this, and I'm still dealing with this and this and this, even though we got some of these things dealt with. And she said, did anyone ever mention to you that your migraines and some of your other issues may be linked to your birth control? And I was like, no, not really. When I first started taking it, they told me it could cause auras and migraine issues, but that the auras would come with the migraines. That was the impression I was given. So when the auras didn't come with the migraines, I didn't think anything of it. And in that type of pain, I just wasn't thinking in general. But I hadn't made that connection. So I came off of the birth control, which helped things a lot over the next few weeks as my body kind of purged that from my system. But I still had a long way to go in balancing my hormones. And as we were beginning to see improvements just from ditching that prescription, I met a girl who was very into natural options for health and for cleaning and just life in general. And honestly, when I met her and saw her sharing about this on social media, I thought, oh, she's one of those people. Like, I can be friends with her, but she's just one of those people. Like, that'll just never be my story. Well, it is my story, and I'm so glad it is. But she just sweetly began to talk to me and share things with me as I began to share some of my struggles with her. We ditched chemicals out of our home for Young Living's natural cleaning line, Thieves, and we got our starter kit of oils and began to use them in place of candles, which always gave my husband headaches because lo and behold, they're loaded with chemicals and bad things for us, which I never knew. So we got rid of those and used the oils instead, and he has never struggled with that, which has been amazing. I found out that the chemicals in our cleaners can mimic estrogen, which means it can trick my body into thinking different things about my hormones that it shouldn't have been. You guys, I'm getting a cramp the way I'm sitting, and I'm so sorry that I have to move. Okay, so sorry about that, y'all. Anyway, so we began to learn all these things, and we had already switched over to a lifestyle as far as our diet went of focusing on protein, kicking out sugar, pairing proteins with either carbs or fats. It's Trim Healthy Mama if you've never heard of it, but that's kind of where we chose to go. with that, and we still do that. We still enjoy sugary things every now and again, but as a general rule, we try to avoid it. So we just began doing a lot of substituting more natural things to replace sugar-laden things or chemicals and so forth. So a lot of that began to show different bits of progress in our bodies, mine especially. But we still weren't getting pregnant. And I didn't like the options that the doctor was giving us. I also did not appreciate her attitude when I mentioned that we were basically dipping our toe into the natural health world, and was explaining to her some of the supplements and things I was beginning to take. She basically, in not so many words, told me to not be stupid and I could eventually kill myself. So I really didn't feel comfortable with her, and definitely did not go back to see her. So at that point, I reached out to one of my support leaders in my Young Living team and just told her what we were going through, and asked her if she had ever heard of someone using oils to help them get pregnant, or had any kind of suggestion for me, because I was open to trying whatever things she may suggest before we would have gone on with the typical Western medicine solutions. So I wasn't against them. I just figured I would give this a shot. I already had this in my home, and I had seen them work in other areas, so why not, give it a shot. So she sent me, she told me to Google something, and gave me the personal testimony of someone else who had tried it, and I said, okay. And when I went and looked up that particular way to use certain oils to encourage this in my body, I found that a lot of them I already had, because we had gotten them free through our loyalty program over the year or so that we had been in. And it was just so encouraging. Like, we already had them. I didn't have to wait. I could just jump right in and start using what I had, because I just didn't know what they did. So what I did, and I'm going to put this up on screen so you guys can kind of follow along. I used the oil Progessence Plus, which is actually a serum. It's a natural source of progesterone from wild yams and other oils and things. So I put a drop of this on the back of my neck every morning. And then morning and night, I would apply a couple drops of geranium to my lower back and lower abdomen. I would also put a couple drops of the blend Acceptance on my wrists, and I would put a few drops of clary sage on my right ankle. The right ankle is a Vitaflex point that interacts with the uterus and ovaries for the women. So if you're not familiar with Vitaflex, I did a video on that last week. You can go kind of learn a little bit more about that, whether here on my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my YouTube channel. I also put 5 drops each of frankincense, basil, and clary sage on an organic tampon, and I soaked that puppy in coconut oil, and I would put it in overnight for 10 days following my cycle. If you do this, please use an organic tampon. This is really important because oils are made to help your body absorb things, and if you've got chemicals in your tampon, which yes, there are chemicals in regular tampons, your body's going to end up absorbing those chemicals more efficiently. That's the word. And that's not what we're after. We're wanting to get rid of those. So get an organic set of tampons, and do make sure that you soak that thing in a carrier oil of some sort, whether coconut or grapeseed or jojoba almond oil, something like that, because these oils basil is a little bit of what they refer to as a hot oil, and sticking it there can be rather sensitive. So just know dilution is key. But I did that for the 10 nights following the end of my cycle. And then I don't believe I got this on the slide, but I also took 10 drops of Sclerescence Vitality in a vegetable capsule and topped it with a carrier oil, and I did that every day except for the days that I was on my cycle. And then I also took Super B and Ningxia Red daily. Super B is Young Living's vitamin B complex, which does contain folate, and Ningxia Red is our powerhouse, like, whole body wellness juice that's focused around the wolfberry and is super high in antioxidants. So I use both of those. And like I've already explained, we ditched some chemicals, well, all of our chemicals, for natural options through Young Living. And we also changed up our eating habits, which we had changed before we even were trying to get pregnant. But I really believe that eating healthy also makes a huge difference. So, as I've told you, I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to prescribe or treat or diagnose any issue that anyone may have. I just want you to know there are options and there are things out there, because I know there are so many people looking for something to help them. And I believe that my story can change lives. And if my story is only on this planet to help one person, then it's completely worth sharing. So every week I tell you guys how to get a hold of these things and how to join my oily family. So I have a bundle put together on my personal Young Living website that you can go look at. All of the things that I just told you about, I will have in that bundle. You can pick what you want, leave what you don't. I've put it together so that these products come on subscription. I do that because that automatically gets you the 24% discount. This subscription can be canceled at any time, so you are not locked into anything at all. But for as long as you have something on subscription, you get that discount. Or if you build your bundle $100 or more, you get the discount for a year, no questions asked. So that's an awesome option as well. So you can totally customize this to you however you would like that to work. So then you would just fill in your personal info and complete the order. When I see you show up in my team viewer, then I will reach out to you to welcome you and allow you to ask questions. We can set up a one-on-one if that is something you would prefer. However I can help you, I want to be here to support you along the way. So just some details about how our Subscribe to Save works. These are up on the screen. I love the flexibility of this program. We now get free shipping on orders of $100 or more, which is awesome. So if you build that custom $100 bundle, it's automatically going to get shipped for you for free when you choose the economy shipping option. You also have the option to earn loyalty rewards on your order when it's $50 or more, and those details are up on the screen now. So all of the same discounts and perks as a Subscribe to Save program, just with these benefits added on top. And I've never seen a program like this before. As your points add up, you cash them in for Young Living products, so you can cash them in for supplements and for these oils or anything else you may want that Young Living has. So that is all I have for you guys tonight. I hope it's been a blessing to you. If you know someone who is currently struggling to get pregnant and walking that road, I would love to either talk to them personally if they would be open to that, or you can just share this with them wherever you found it on social media. If they're not on social media, I do have this posted on my YouTube page if you haven't found it there originally. All of my information is there. A link to my website is on my profile. There are ways for them to reach out to me should they choose to do that. So thank you all for listening. Again, I hope that this is helpful for someone, because that really is my top desire in sharing anything about Young Living, but especially our story as far as getting pregnant and now having our son. So I will talk to you all again next week. Our topic is mental health. So this is another passion of mine, and it's another story of mine that I'll be sharing as I've been walking through that over the last year or so. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you again next Tuesday night.